if we could find some common ground, like, okay, if you're here illegally because we don't know who's a criminal, we don't know who's we're going to give you the ability to identify yourself, to self-deport, give you the ability to go through the process, pay for a flight back to, and give you $1,000 to get started and try and come back legally so we have you on the books. Would that be something that would be you'd be more amenable to?
I would definitely be more amenable, and I think that's the point of due process. And I think that's one of my biggest issues with these ICE races. That all of them, not all of them, that's the wrong word. So many of them I have seen have not been a form of due process. They've been taking people, they've been deporting them, and they haven't been getting a lawyer. So many of these kids who are like 5 years old, only speak Spanish, are not even giving an English and Spanish speaking lawyer. I think that's terrible. I mean, how are they ever supposed to fight for their rights, get the help they need? So I think if we do a process like yours where you're saying, hey, we're giving you these options, we're making it a lot more fair, a lot less cruel, I think that's better. I still think we need a lot more work on the side, but I think that is a significantly better system. But the problem is, currently, that's not what we're doing.
What if I were to tell you that's the exact system? It's called the CBP1 app.
Okay.
Right now, ICE has said, you do this, we'll give you $1,000, a flight home, we'll show you how to go back through legally, but if you don't, and you make the taxpayer pay for us to find you and deport you, then we're going to do it.
But also, I think that sets
But that is the system right now.
Got you. But I think the problem with that, first off, then we go back, okay, you got $1,000, you're back in your country. Now you're going to have to wait 10 years to get back in this country. Probably. Maybe 5 if you get super lucky or something. So it's like, yeah, that's a kind of a good option, but not really. So I would be like, no, I'm not accepting that.
What's up, YouTube? Hope you guys are feeling good. Today, guys, we're back into a new video. Today, we're going to be checking out. This is going to be really amazing. A gay lib and a straight conservative debates deporting illegals. This is about a gay guy who's supporting illegal immigrants coming to America and feel like they have the rights instead of it being a privilege. This conservative puts him straight. And I'd love to watch this video out and see how it goes, right, with you guys. Let's get right to today's video.
So, Brian, we're gauging people's temperature on issues of the day. Obviously, in the news quite a bit, especially recently, immigration, ICE, deportations have stepped up. What are your initial thoughts on that?
I'm personally very much against it. I think really a lot of that stands behind my faith. I believe that all people that are here should be treated like equals. They'd be treated love and respect. And I just don't think, first off, the way we're going about it is wrong. I think having people that are unidentified, a lot of times people can't even tell that they're officers. I think that's wrong. And I just don't personally think, we have so many issues going on in the world. My biggest issue is not the person who got into this country illegally.
Well, what would be your bigger issue then? Because that's the biggest issue to a lot of in the recent election, right?
Yeah, but I personally am a belief that that's just the media that has made that a bigger issue, because I think things like environmental issues are a much bigger issue. The fight against prejudice in this country is a much bigger issue. Poverty that we're dealing with all over the world and in this country, the wars that we're engaging in, I think those are much bigger issues. Worrying about immigrants who honestly are just helping the economy and trying to do their best and just want to help their family, I don't think that's really a big deal. I mean, I don't personally care.
Would your opinions change at all if there was any new information? Like you said, they contribute to. I understand if you said because we want to be loving and your faith. And I might disagree with the general precept, but I think it comes from a good place. But if illegal immigrants, for example, cost taxpayers over $400 billion every year, they're not contributing. There's a significant, when you talk about poverty, that's a big reason for the lack of funds.
Personally, the data I've seen hasn't shown that. Because from what I've seen is that, first off, immigrants can't get any tax benefits that the rest of us get because they're not allowed to sign up for healthcare, social services that we're allowed to sign up for, and they only contribute taxes. So if anything, they're helping build the economy and they get little to nothing out of it except getting to be here, which totally understand the benefit of being in America, and you don't want to be in your country that may be violent, dangerous, or just like you're impoverished there. So I understand it. If I was a parent, I would also want to bring my kid here where there's just better opportunities. I
would too. I agree. I definitely would want to bring my children here. I definitely think that there's a reason people want to come here. I think it's the land of opportunity. I think it's the greatest country in the world. Let's say because I know we won't, but if
I can work with you on that.
If they were taking significantly more than they paid, and even taking away the 2 to 5 times the crime rate, and that doesn't mean all immigrants, but that does mean when you can't know who's on the books, obviously you're going to have more, the drug cartels run the border. But they can sign up for social services. They can use, for example, emergency rooms as medical care and then leave and not pay it. So it's even the most conservative estimate from liberal think tanks is $150 billion a year to $450 billion a year. Let's split it and call it $350.
Sure. I think if we accept all, I will engage, because you
If.
engage with me
Yes,
respectfully, so I want to say engage
Thank
with you respectfully.
And I appreciate it.
Of course. So I say even if that is all the case, I personally still don't think, I think it would be a hot button issue that we should focus on, but I don't think the way we're going about it is correct still.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, first off, the government spends, I think we can all agree on both sides, the government spends money in terrible ways and so many other things.
On that, you will get no qualms from me. Yes.
And so I think there's tons of other things that we could look at and be like, hey, we're spending money here, maybe we can focus on other things, because I think if we had a better immigration system that made it so immigrants didn't have to wait up to 10 years in most cases to get into the country, I think a lot of immigrants would love to be like, no, I'll apply, I'll do the work, and I'll get over here legally. I think the problem is the system is so hard and people want to get here so quickly, because I mean, if my house was getting shot up and I didn't have the money to pay for my kids' medicine or things like that, and the only way I had to get there was to illegally cross another country, but you're saying I have to wait 10 years, I would also skip the rules and I'd be like, no, I'm not waiting 10 years.
Sure.
My kid needs food, they need medicine, I don't want to be attacked violently. So I do think it should then be an issue. If we're saying it is spending all this money, I think that's a really big problem, because then that money could be going to other Americans, be helping our country. But I don't think at the end of the day, even if they are costing us money, I don't think that we should terrorize them in return. A big thing of my faith is just because someone hurts you doesn't mean you hurt them back. You show them love and kindness in return and hope that transforms their heart. And so I would want to help them and be like, hey, we don't have to do these things. We can actually help you be better.
Well, what would love and kindness look like as far as policy in dealing with?
I think,
and I agree with a lot of what you just said, by the way. I definitely agree with spending in inefficient ways. I definitely agree as far as, hey, look, if my child was sick, I would lie, cheat, kill, steal, maim, anything to save their life.
Yes.
But that doesn't make it someone else's duty
I totally
to
agree.
take care.
And I think that's the biggest thing is like, I don't think me and you are on actually opposite sides of the aisle. We have the same values, it's just different ways of getting there. And I think the problem is the media a lot of ways makes it seem like, oh, we're on complete opposite sides, but I don't think that's true. I think policy-wise, in terms of making that happen, I think first off, putting more money towards actually immigration reform, making it so people can do it quickly, so that way we know who's doing it the wrong way, we know who's doing it the right way. It makes it so much easier to section them out. We don't have to be like, oh, are you a bad one? Are you a good one? No, we just know, hey, you came here legally because it's a speedy, expedited process that's done correctly. Perfect. I think also making it so we're not just putting people in prison or deporting them back to their country, but rehabilitation programs. I'm a sociology major. We learned so much about how putting people in prisons, just punishing them for what they do, actually doesn't help. Rehabilitation programs with showing them how to get better jobs, how to help their community, how to help others, that's so much better. It proves better for the economy, proves better for the safety of the community, and it just makes their own lives better. So I just think...
I disagree with that. It doesn't prove to always be better. I mean, if you look at New York, you look at California.
But those aren't great examples because they're still living under U.S.'s laws and systems. We look at a country... There's two countries, I can't name them off the top of my head.
I think you're probably thinking of Sweden and Norway.
I think so. Where they do
it's like an IKEA showroom, their prison
Yeah, they do a rehabilitation program, and they've had much lower crime rates, much less violence, and a much higher recidivism, no, not recidivism rate.
A lower recidivism,
much lower recidivism rate, and a much higher rehabilitation rate, because they're showing empathy, because even when you're doing something bad, you're not doing it because it's bad, you're doing it for good reasons a lot of time. So when you show people, hey, you don't have to do this bad thing, you can do it in a good way, I think people want to do that, because I believe that most people don't want to be bad people. They want to do the right thing. So I think if we give them opportunity, they will.
So I disagree with that.
Okay.
Just again,
totally
I don't know what your faith. I'm a Christian.
Yeah, same here.
I believe that we're all very sinful. We're born with a selfish nature, and if not for God, at least attempting to perfect us, we are we definitely absolutely revert to our sinful and selfish nature, and don't necessarily look out for our fellow man. And that's why we need something outside of ourselves to teach us that.
I totally agree. I think at nature we are all sinful, but I think the great thing about that is God came, He died for our sins, and now His Spirit lives in all of us. Regardless of whether you've asked for it or not, a piece of God lives within you. And then when you accept Him into your heart, you are fully blessed and reborn new in His Spirit, in His life.
Yeah.
And I think that piece of goodness you can see all over the world. Even in places where there is so much evil, there is still good in people. People want to be loved, they want to be understood, they want to help one another. I mean, you look about thousands of years ago, before Christ was ever a thing, before anyone ever knew about Him, people were still helping one another. They were still caring for one another. I think people want to be good people, they just don't know how to. And I think if we educate them, we show them love, we show them kindness, that they will. And obviously, there is still going to be evil. I don't think that will ever change, no matter who's in charge, no matter what happens, unless God Himself comes back down.
Well, at some point.
At some point He will.
Yeah.
But I think at the end of the day, people want to be good people, and if we give them the opportunity, they will. And I think that's a much for me, a much better outlook than saying all of you are evil.
Well, I understand the outlook, and I do appreciate it. I think it comes from the right place. But if they're costing billions, hundreds of billions of dollars, and if it's 2 to 5 times the crime rate, and if we're at a point in this country where we can't know who's in, who's not, and it's a drain, like you talk about on the taxpayer, potentially the single biggest source of fraud, abuse, and waste that affects American citizens. And I do appreciate you being very respectful, because sometimes people go, well, that opinion's racist. People go, well, hold on a second. I'm a Latino American who believes that we should deport illegal aliens. There are a lot of them, actually. They're supported overwhelmingly. Let me ask you this. When you talk about evil, drug cartels.
Yeah.
So probably the most cruel people on the planet. And no one goes through the border unchecked by the drug cartels. Tom Holman, the director of ICE, the big bad boogeyman, he told me a story on my show where he said, if these people knew, even people just seeking a better life, for everyone you see, he said, I've looked at bodies. He told me a story. He said, what changed my mind? We have to disincentivize illegal immigration. Because as long as it exists, you will have horrible people taking advantage. Yeah. More slaves on earth than ever, over 40 million. Told me a story of a 5-year-old boy, was in the back of, think of a horse trailer, was left with an entire group of people to bake alive. And there were 3 witnesses who survived. And the boy was 5, and his last words were begging his father to not let him die because he wanted to see his mom again. And he found the father's body on top of the boy because allegedly some people thought if they dismembered him and threw his body parts out the small window, they could get saved. There are rape trees along the southern border where they put panties up there as trophies. They get enslaved, where, especially if you're a good-looking younger woman coming over here, off the books. So as we all know, right, with the drug trade, underground trade, that's going to exist as long as there's an incentive.
Yeah.
And having porous borders and not deporting people, not showing some kind of harsh punishment for doing it illegally will keep them in power.
Yeah.
True.
Is that perhaps something that you think maybe people don't look at? Because
I totally agree. I think that is something that's really, really important. But I think a counterpoint to that, I think all of what you said, very, very important. We need to make sure that's not happening, because that's horrible. I think we should not be encouraging that. But at the end of the day, I'm of the belief that if we can help 9 people and then 1 bad person comes in, I'm always think it's worth helping those 9 people, because I think, yeah, a lot of those people are going to be absolutely terrible, and we need to make sure that we have restrictions that make sure that doesn't happen. But 9 of those people are just trying to come over and be safe. They don't want to do drugs.
But what if
they
you
don't
just
want to
said
hurt people.
What if we know that if you said you 9 have to stay in Mexico, we know that 1 bad serial rapist, murderer, enslaver would be out of business.
But that we might know that, but we also don't know that. Are you saying if we know that for sure? You're saying
I'm saying we have incentivized the drug cartels right now with our borders with Mexico, and we know for sure that if we have more secure borders, for example, we have far fewer terrorists coming in. And I know neither one of us want terrorists to come in, and we understand that not everyone is a terrorist. It's only a few hundred, but we can't know.
Yeah.
But until we have some strict immigration laws, and also make sure that people know it won't be tolerated, the drug cartel will be empowered, and they commit the most evil acts known to man.
And I think I do disagree on the fact that they commit the most evil acts to man, because I think there's so much evil we have amongst. I will 100% agree with that. Because I think there's so much evil here in America. We can talk about some of the billionaires that hoard money, are hurting people's lives, like a lot of the healthcare CEOs that actively deny people getting the help that they need only because they want to meet the profits that they want. I think that's just as evil as selling drugs and killing people on the street. They're just removed from the killing.
I don't think it's just as evil as raping a 5-year-old and decapitating.
I don't think, but not all those drug cartels are raping people. A lot of them are just killing people, which is horrible.
Nice.
We're
both anti-killing.
Yes. But I think what is the difference between a CEO at the top of the, I don't know, America building or whatever one of these buildings is called?
United Healthcare.
Yeah, United Healthcare. And he's saying, oh, you don't get to get the cancer money that you need in order to save your child, so now he has to die. I don't think there's any difference between him doing that and another person shooting a kid on the street.
I do.
That is just as evil.
He's just
because
I think they're both wrong, depending on the context of the claims. And I do think insurance companies, by the way, especially since with the Affordable Care Act under Obama, gave them a huge kickback where you had to accept everyone, no matter the pre-existing condition, and they could hike premiums however they wanted, right? So I think they've made a killing. And I absolutely think we have a flawed system. Now, I was raised in Canada where we have government health care. You're never going to see me advocate that.
Jealous. Jealous of Canada, not
it's the worst country in the world.
Oh, really? I've heard.
What we're doing right now, you couldn't do in Canada.
Oh, wow.
You or me could be jailed depending on who's in power, because speech is not free.
Oh. Well, I only had one friend who came to, they loved it, so maybe they have a biased perspective.
Well, even if we disagree, I will vehemently fight for your right to speak.
Yeah,
in Canada, you're not allowed to.
Oh, that's so.
They don't have freedom of speech enshrined in their constitution, so it's a very different place. But I put many family members in the ground for socialized health care.
Wow.
So we have a flawed system for sure, and I think that a lot of these people are corrupt. I do think there's a difference. I know you're saying there has to be, and this is a theme where people say, okay, we don't want to be cruel, and I understand that.
Yeah.
What if there was a system, for example, if we could find some common ground, like, okay, if you're here illegally because we don't know who's a criminal, we don't know who's we're going to give you the ability to identify yourself, to self-deport, give you the ability to go through the process, pay for a flight back to, and give you $1,000 to get started and try and come back legally so we have you on the books. Would that be something that would be you'd be more amenable to?
I would definitely be more amenable, and I think that's the point of due process. And I think that's one of my biggest issues with these ICE races. That all of them, not all of them, that's the wrong word. So many of them I have seen have not been a form of due process. They've been taking people, they've been deporting them, and they haven't been getting a lawyer. So many of these kids who are like 5 years old, only speak Spanish, are not even giving an English and Spanish speaking lawyer. I think that's terrible. I mean, how are they ever supposed to fight for their rights, get the help they need? So I think if we do a process like yours where you're saying, hey, we're giving you these options, we're making it a lot more fair, a lot less cruel, I think that's better. I still think we need a lot more work on the side, but I think that is a significantly better system. But the problem is, currently, that's not what we're doing.
What if I were to tell you that's the exact system? It's called the CBP1 app.
Okay.
Right now, ICE has said, you do this, we'll give you $1,000, a flight home, we'll show you how to go back through legally, but if you don't, and you make the taxpayer pay for us to find you and deport you, then we're going to do it.
But also, I think that sets
But that is the system right now.
Got you. But I think the problem with that, first off, then we go back, okay, you got $1,000, you're back in your country. Now you're going to have to wait 10 years to get back in this country. Probably. Maybe 5 if you get super lucky or something. So it's like, yeah, that's a kind of a good option, but not really. So I would be like, no, I'm not accepting that. Maybe I can stay safe here in this country and just not commit crimes, do my own thing. I think a lot of people would rather choose that because, I get ISIS saying that, but
then
also
they get deported. They've been given a choice. I don't think that's cruel.
I do think it is cruel though, because you're saying, here we can deport you back so you can go back to this bad place with a little bit more money than you had when you first left, but not really in a much better situation, because we're just sending them off so it's not our problem. And I think as Americans, since say we're the greatest country in the world, we have a duty as not only Americans, as Christians, to go out and be like, I'm gonna help as many people as possible. What? And so I think...
Do you think people in America need help?
I do, but we're not even helping our people.
Do you think we'd be able to help them better if maybe we didn't have a drain of illegal immigrants?
I think there's a lot of other things before that. I think there's like 20 other things I could list before we get to immigrants.
I think and I would probably agree with you on a lot as far as making government more efficient, but that's one of the biggest line items.
I agree.
And especially suppressing
I just don't
wages.
think it's one of the big. From all the data I've seen, it is a line item. I am never going to say it's not one, but I think it's just so much lower than we actually say it is. Also, so many of the illegal immigrants that come into this country are not even from Mexico. They're from European countries. They also bring just as many drugs over. They're causing a lot of more crimes. A lot of the actual Mexican.
That's not accurate.
Actually, from the data I've seen,
a lot from South America, but not many Europeans. It's a very small
from what
percentage.
I've seen, the highest percentage of illegal immigrants are actually from European countries. They overstay their visa, they come for just random reason, but they're actually the highest percentage of illegal immigrants that I've seen from what I've... My data may be wrong.
There are a higher percentage of visa overstays because many of them go through the legal process.
But that would also be an illegal immigrant.
So, and I would deport them too.
But I'm just saying...
I'd deport every German, every cocky German who tells us that our cars suck.
I love that you're consistent across the board. I can work with that. But I'm just saying, I don't think a lot of these immigrants, all they want to do, they want to come here. I would argue to say, and I would really put money on it, 7 out of 10 are just coming here to make money, contribute to the economy, make their family happy and safe, and that's really it. They don't want anything else. They want to do what every other American is. Because America is a place of immigrants. There's people that came here, they said, I want to live the American dream, I want to make my family happy, and I want to make them safe. And that's all I want to do. Right. Now, 3 out of those 10 are coming to do crimes. I completely agree with that. But also 3 out of those 10 Americans that already were born here, were just lucky to be here, are also probably committing horrible crimes. So I think we act like they're coming in.
Do you actually believe that illegal aliens don't commit a higher proportionate number of crimes?
From all the data I've seen, they do not.
Yeah, it's absolutely irrefutable. And I can tell you because I'm familiar with the data you're talking about. The data that you're talking about either comes from one of 2 sources. Either all immigrants, immigrant. They would be included in that. People who've come here legally. Or one case study from a population of Texas. When you actually do every single legitimate study conducted, looking and isolating for illegal immigrants at large, the lowest you'll find is twice as likely, as high as 5 times as likely in
I
California.
haven't seen that, so I can't speak on that.
So, and here's when I was doing this one time, and I say this because I think you're an empathetic person. There was a lady who came up, we had to blur her face.
Got you.
Because she was an immigrant.
Yeah.
And she lived in an area where there were a lot of illegal immigrants.
Yeah.
And they terrorized her. And she could never call the cops.
Yeah.
and they were controlled by drug lords. And she said, what can I do to report? Because if I do, they're going to go after my family.
Yeah.
So I think it's actually, my perspective is, first off, I don't think that we're morally required to take care of the world, but I think it's cruel when you create actual victims through a porous border and incentivizing criminality. Until we fix that, I don't think you realize the consequences for the people who are here living under the terror of those 3 out of 10, they take control of the whole.
I understand. From what I've seen, I just haven't seen anything support that. So it's hard for me to give you an opinion on that, because everything I've seen has been the opposite of that. Not opposite, but they're not doing more crime. They're really just kind of being here. And also, so many of these ICE raids, they're collecting people that are going to immigration, like they're going to their, court hearings for their immigration, and they're collecting them there. They collected people at the Home Depot. They were trying to go to the Dodgers game.
That didn't happen.
I saw pictures of it.
What if I were to tell you that was a myth? They were changing a tire in the parking lot.
I saw pictures of them trying to go
Okay, but what if I could bring up a photo?
I'll take up the Dodgers one.
Okay.
I'll take it off.
And all the other ones do, but the Dodgers is one that I can prove.
The other ones I've seen, the videos of them.
I'm sure they picked
walking.
up some at Home Depot.
They've done it so many other places.
I would do that too if I was ICE.
But I just think that's so. Those people are not trying to do anything. They're just trying to live their life. I just think at the end of the day, there are so many other issues that are so much more important than immigration. I don't think immigration is something that we should ignore. I do think it is an issue.
Sure.
It costs us a lot of money. It probably costs us, even if I agree with your point, it costs us a lot of safety issues.
Sure.
I think there are so many. Poverty is one of the biggest. If we could fix poverty, so many of our crime issues would be automatically fixed.
Yeah.
I mean, poverty is one of the #1 things that reason people commit crimes, because they just don't have money. And so I think we could fix poverty, fix homelessness, fix food insecurity. I think we would automatically make things better. And so while we're focusing on immigration, I just think that's what's the word where you
Myopic?
act like something? No. There's a word where you act like something is the issue in order to fix something.
A false equivalency?
Maybe. I can't think of it right now, but it's like
That's okay.
We're acting like immigration.
You're very articulate. No, it's hot, and believe me, I'm
It's
losing
so
my
hot.
words.
And I've
you're
been at
doing
work
very
sitting
well.
at a computer.
I know. So believe me, I get it. I miss words on that whole time.
I just think we're making it seem like it's the big issue, and I think it's because the media wants us all to think it's the big issue. Because at the end of the day, if all of us came together and we were like, no, we deserve to not have to worry about poverty, about healthcare, about food insecurity, I think all of our lives would be better. We'd be in a better place to help them. We'd be in a better place to help ourselves, and then we would have significantly less issues. So I just think, yes, immigration is an issue. I think it is something that needs to be fixed. I don't know the exact way to fix it. I'm not an expert on it. So you've done a lot more research. You might have better ideas.
Oh, it's pretty simple. It's seal up the border, which we have.
Yeah.
And deport people who are here illegally. That's the only way to solve it. And I understand where you're coming, and I agree. Now, we would disagree on the solutions with those, but here's the one thing: is everything you're talking about fixing, I would assume, costs a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
Poverty. The difference here is we're talking about saving money, not spending. We're talking about cutting out a major expense that Americans who may be poor, who may be struggling, shouldn't be incurring anyway. Both legal immigrant Americans and native born. That's the big difference.
I totally understand that, but then it's hard for me to accept that when then it's like, okay, Trump just threw a, multi-million-dollar Marine and military parade. That money could have gone to helping Americans. He's
funded by other companies like Coca-Cola.
But he also spent a lot of that money. He's redesigning the White House front lawn to make it a Mar-a-Lago patio. That money could be used to help Americans. There's so many other things that also could be used to help Americans that we're not focusing on. So in my head, it's hard for me to look at that and be like, we need to fix this, but we're not fixing any of our own stuff. So I think, yes.
Let me ask you this. I'm trying to find a good point to leave on, because I know it's hot. How about, since you're saying, okay, fine stuff, that might cost a few $1,000s, talking about a patio. The parade was funded by other companies.
I saw.
Okay, it's not $400 billion.
It's not $400 billion. I'll agree with that.
Would you agree with, okay, if you are here illegally and you have been taking Social Security or Medicaid or any, you're off. None of you here illegally should be able to get any of that. So
if you're here illegally, I don't think you should be able to get government assistance.
Okay.
But I think I agree with that. But I think the issue with that is, I say yes, but. Because then it's like, once again, I go back to the issue of people that want to come here legally, but it is like the most grueling, hard, intense process to even try and do that. So I think if we fixed the immigration system, made it more efficient, and then said, hey, if you're here illegally, you don't get these things, I would be 100% with you. I would say, yes, you should not be getting these things if you've done it a bad way, because we made it so easy for you to do it the right way.
Yeah, but then that's just saying, okay, let's just basically legalize crime.
I don't think that's what we're saying.
If they're here illegally, it's like, so should we deport people here illegally?
I think the problem with that is, though, you're saying let's just deport the people here illegally, but
reform immigration, but we need to deport people here illegally.
I think we need to reform immigration first. That needs to happen way before we deport people, because we need to stop I think you need to stop the plug, like this plug of issues, before you start fixing.
So you were for building the wall and securing the southern border?
If that's what is going to help them and us best, yes. But if that's not what's going to help them and us.
But did you support it when that was what he...
No, that's not what I supported. But that's also, I was like, what? Like 16 when that was happening.
All right, so you couldn't vote.
So I wasn't super knowledgeable on everything that was happening anyways.
I thought the Iraq War was a good idea when I was 15 years old. So believe me, yes.
And so I just think, it's not that I don't think that's a problem. I think crime is a problem. I think those people that are bringing in drugs are a problem. I think if they're terrorizing that lady, that's 100% an issue, and people need to be focused on that and worrying about that. But I think the issue is, that's not the biggest issue, and that's not that's a symptom. It's not the source of the problem. Okay. The source of the problem is the fact that we haven't created a good system of government to help people that are trying to come in, and the people that are already here. And I think once we fix those systems, we have so much easier time fixing those other things.
I'm not hearing a solution from you on what to do with people who are here illegally.
The problem is I don't have a solution. Okay. I just have I know, because immigration is not my what's the word? Interest. I have a lot of other. You want to ask me about a million other things.
But it affects the average American on a day-to-day basis more than any other issue outside of potentially national security. I would disagree with
poverty affects the average American.
Well, Americans connected too, right? If you look at this last election, the top issues were the economy and inflation, which have been radically better in the last few months.
I would disagree with that.
Absolutely better, and then immigration. In other words, you may not like that that's a top issue for Americans.
Yeah.
But it is.
That's okay.
It is, and so it is incumbent, and this is why I think there is a disconnect. And I do think, and I would imagine you're more left and I'm more right.
Yeah.
It's incumbent upon the left to not ignore those people, but to speak to those people. And they're saying, biggest issue is immigration. And then you're not. I would say you're not an outlier. The left offers no solutions other than complete amnesty and open borders. But that's also
because I don't have the information on immigration.
You have more than Kamala Harris. That's why she was not voted for.
I would disagree with that.
Oh, you're much smarter than Kamala Harris. She's barely walking upright. She's an idiot.
Thank you, but I would disagree with that. But I think the thing is, first off, a lot of people think that's the biggest issue because that's what we've been told is the biggest issue. If I told you for the last 18 years of your life, the biggest issue is, I don't know,
khaki pants.
Khaki pants, first, that's perfect. Then you would think khaki pants are your biggest issue, but actually, you may have a wasp on your arm that's stinging you over and over and over again, but I'm not telling you about that. I'm telling you, no, the reason you're in pain is because of these khaki pants.
I'm a white guy, so I'll always think khaki pants. I'm like, it's gotta be the Dockers.
Listen, they're a good go-to. You can always own a pair of khaki pants. But I think the issue is the media tells us what to focus on, and a lot of Americans aren't educated on what actually the issues are.
Do you think that the media is actually right-leaning and has been telling Americans that illegal immigration is a problem? Or would you at least concede that the media is left-leaning and has been telling Americans who have a problem with illegal immigration that they are racist?
I think that's
why Trump was elected.
I think you see both on both sides. I think you can look at a lot of, the problem is
ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, MSNBC, CNBC, all of them.
And
every single one with the exception. I mean, every network with the exception of Fox News, who, by the way, also.
I would disagree with that heavily.
Okay, you think they lean right?
I think there's so many more. Also, first off, if you look at a lot of CNN, MSNBC, a lot of those, say they're left, but if you look at any of their messaging, it is not left-leaning. It's actually very, very centrist, and it really doesn't. I've done a lot of the data and research on this. This was like part of my interest in college. Mm-hmm. They're not nearly as left-leaning as people think they are. It's just they virtue signal in a way that makes it sound like, hey, left people, come here. But they're not actually left-leaning. The right-leaning, you know what? I'm proud of Fox News because they at least stick to their base.
At least they're open about it.
This is our people, we're going to stick to it. And I'm like, at least you're actually saying what y'all believe in.
Yeah.
But the left, a lot of these other places, they're not actually left-leaning. The actual left-leaning people, often their voices are a lot more silenced. We don't get to hear a lot of these voices that are saying, no, we have ideas about how to reform this, because they're shut down, because a lot of people don't want those ideas because they're not the easy fix.
Can you name me any conservatives on MSNBC or CNN?
They're not conservative by name. They're not going to say they're conservative.
I can name you about leftists. Every single person.
But you're going to...
Wolf Blitzer, Anderson Cooper, Anna Navarro, every single... I mean, we could go through the entire lineup.
Sure.
Jake Tapper, Enton. If we go to MSNBC,
you're naming a lot of people. I also don't watch those news sources because I just don't
you said
like
the data.
Say that again?
You say the data, so I'm just saying I'm just picking their prime time hosts.
I was just saying, when you're naming people, I'm not going to be able to say yes or no on them. That's what I was saying.
Well, we both agree they suck.
I agree. I think most news stations completely suck.
Dog shit.
I think they're basically all horrible because at the end of the day, most of them are owned by corporations that have their own agendas that want to tell you their specific things so that they can make more money at the end of the day. I think we need, first off, more independent news sources that are backed by the people so that they can tell us the real truth, show us the real issues, and show us how to actually fix things.
How would it be backed by the people?
I don't know, taxpayer money.
Oof.
We could use that. I don't
Couldn't
know.
be worse.
Why do you agree with say that?
I come from Canada. Canada has a CBC. You don't need to go to Venezuela. CBC is a Canadian Broadcasting Corporation.
Yeah.
Last election with Trudeau, he had one party member say, I'll give $100 million additional to the CBC.
Yeah.
Trudeau said, I'll give $150 million. Guess who won? Guess who got the positive coverage?
That's terrible, but
Government that's called Pravda, my friend.
But I think the problem is we act like government funding is very, what's it called? Objective, but it's like, if you look at literally any insight into it, it's so obvious that people are putting money towards things that they just want. I mean, the fact that lobbying is a thing is to me one of the biggest crimes in America.
Oh.
The fact that companies are allowed to pay money in order to influence politicians to do what they want, that's like 101 illegal. How do we not have that problem with that?
I think we'd find some common ground there,
So-
especially for certain lobbying groups who are like, oh,
There's so
this
many,
is, yeah.
and like super PACs that are like funding these campaigns
Right.
for all these politicians, and it's like the average
Like
American.
the unions.
Yeah, there's so many things that they're funding, and it's like I can't give. I think it's what is it, $2,000? You can't give over $2,000
To a candidate, you can give to a PAC.
Okay, yeah,
you give more to a PAC.
You can give more, but that's crazy that I can only give $2,000. But if I want to give it to this PAC, who's going to secretly support them, then I can give as much millions as I want. That's insane. That's
Yeah.
an issue we should be focused on, because those people are actually really changing the things in America, making things worse for people that actually need it. Companies that are in charge, the billionaires that are in charge, that are funneling money away from the working American, that's the real issue, not the immigrants.
Well, I think there's a reason that the billionaires in this country have pushed for open borders and illegal immigration because the interests are aligned.
Not most of the immigrants.
Oh,
not
more
most
slaves
of the
on Earth.
immigrants I've seen.
Oh yeah, more slaves on Earth than ever because they
Elon Musk,
they love
one
indentures.
of the most, one of the highest.
Elon Musk wants uncapped
Elon
H-1B
Musk was
visas.
he wanted that because it helps his company. That once again, he's doing something because it's going to help.
I agree with
his
you. Elon
company.
Musk, it takes both sides of the issue, and I don't
he
trust
does whatever he wants.
I don't trust him.
Oh, I 100% don't
Yeah,
trust
but as
him.
far as billionaires, if you look at Bill Gates, you walk through, you look at even Elon, they
But a lot of
support
them,
overwhelmingly open borders because they
want to
benefit from cheap labor.
They want to virtue signal to left-leaning people.
No, they benefit from cheap labor.
They want to
do.
virtue signal to left-leaning people, say, hey, look at us, we're doing the good, nice left-leaning things. But then on the behind the scenes, they're doing everything they want. They're doing things that help them build more money. I think we can both agree. I don't want a government or corporations that do things that hurt the average American and make money for them. I
Right.
think the government and companies should be, they're made by people, they should be for people.
Yes, I agree.
But the problem is,
Well, I don't believe in communism and taking control of these companies,
No,
but I
no,
believe
but
in
there's a
making sure.
middle ground.
Yeah, making sure they're not breaking the law,
Yeah,
making
I
sure
think
they're playing by the rules, just like you and I.
Base,
Yes.
That's the problem. The base of American system is great. It's just like we took it and went the wrong way with it in so many ways.
I think we can agree on that.
Yeah.
And I know it's hot, and I have to get. Was
Yes,
it
my feet
Brian
have to
or
hurt.
Brad?
Brian.
Brian.
Nice
Thank you,
to meet
Brian.
you,
I
of
really
course.
appreciate it, Brian.
No, of course.
Thank you so much. It was a great
I love that you had a respectful conversation.
I really appreciate that you do. That was probably the best one we've had all day. So something was
Well,
going
I hope you
hey.
have a great rest of life.
Thank you, Brian. I appreciate it too.
course, yeah.
Get out of the heat. It's insane.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Really great. Thank you.
This was a very respectful conversation, number one, from the conservative guy. I actually respected how honest and how straight he was, you understand, in speaking his mind. Also, the gay guy who was open. This is one of the best conversation I've seen, that a gay guy who's in the left wing spoke his mind fully, said all the bullshit out totally, because it pisses me off, like, whenever you ask them, like, okay, ICE now they're doing something in the aspect of like, come to them. If you're illegal immigrants, they deport you, they give you a cash that you used to go back home and start up something for yourself, $1,000, that is something. So, and they are still not coming. So, if you allow ICE come meet you, they will deport you illegally without giving you anything. You understand? So there's a big difference. If you're able to come to them, they are enticing you guys to come. You came to the country illegally. Okay, you have to go back to your hometown, because the population, the crime that is happening, things that is happening, it's increasing, and it's very bad for Americans. You understand? It's very bad for the indigenous people who are in America. You understand? When the conservative guy asked him, what do you suggest about ICE giving them $1,000, putting them through orientation, also sending them back to their home? He actually accepted. But when he found out that it's actually ICE that is doing it currently, he refused. It was like, no, so that if they go back to their home, they have to wait 10 years before they come back. America, number one, America is not a charity organization. You guys should get that right. Like, America it's a privilege to be in America. People don't tend to understand that. Let me break it down. Any illegal immigrants coming to America, you don't have the rights. It is not your father's land. You were not born and brought up there. Neither is your parents from there. It's a privilege that you're there. A lot of people crimes that's happening in America is from illegal immigrants who come into America, commit the crime and get out of America. Their track record is not same. You see, this gay guy right now, he's been showing empathy towards people. But the hurtful thing about this world that humans, we are sinful in nature. You understand? You can't say, bring everyone in, we will take care of them. No, people have choices. That is the free will we have, choices to make choices. You can't feel like you can control people. Irrespective of your intention is good, people will tend to do bad. Do you understand? That is the full thing about this illegal immigration coming in. You can't be like you are more hospitable, you are more tolerant, oh, let's let them. Your country will be way worse than the country those illegal immigrants are coming from. Do you understand? So irrespective of how good you kind, don't turn your goods to bad. Because if you are trying to be good towards people, and the people you are trying to be good towards are not as good as you are, don't turn bad. This bulb will turn black. Do you understand? It will pollute your country. So the gay guy was just saying a lot of things that pisses me off while watching it. Frankly speaking, I was kind of like, why in the world would we be saying that? It makes no sense. But it was a very respectful conversation. I actually appreciate that it was respectful. No one used a vulgar word against each other, and they tend to like see where they're coming from and respectfully acknowledge it. Do you understand? It's just that the gay guy is being biased, if you ask me. Like, he sees America as a charity organization. America is not that. America is not there to invite the entire world and be like that, the savior. They are not Jesus Christ. They are not there to save everyone. They should not even tolerate these illegal immigrants for this long. They ought to be deported a long time ago. Build the wall high. The illegal immigrants ought to be deported back to their hometown a long time ago. From any country you're coming from, Mexico, Venezuela, Germany, whenever you're coming from, you have to go back to your hometown. If you want to come to America through the due process. There are other people who are passing through tough things than people who are in Mexico, who are in Venezuela. There are other people who are passing through terrible experience. I've seen encounters of people who are suffering big time. I've seen that when they see their loved one dying, they could not do anything. You don't see them jumping in an aircraft and coming to America because America can solve that. No. You don't see them crossing border because they are not sharing border with America. So you don't come here and tell me because this country that passing through this different type of hardship, they are not the only one passing through hardship. Do you understand? If you come to Africa, for instance, there are a lot of African countries that are passing through big tough time. You don't see them crossing borders. So it's not an excuse that you are poor, that you break the rule. If you are poor, you stay in your hometown and fix it. You can make something off from yourself, or you pass through due process to come to another man's land. Period. It's as simple as that. There is nothing like an excuse. The gay guy was talking about poverty. They have to fix poverty. You can't fix poverty. Poverty has been even before Jesus Christ. In America, you can only... Okay, you're giving... you guys don't have job, giving them some money like to keep them going, but you make them lazy. Like, you don't give bread to someone who don't want to work. It's as simple as that. Like, if someone don't want to put his ass off and work to make something off for himself, you don't give him bread. It's as simple as that. If everyone wants to stay in their house, who will be going to work again? You're encouraging people to be lazy. It's as simple as that. Like, tell me you want to fix poverty. How in the world do we fix poverty? It makes no sense. For me, anyone who stays home, who stays there, don't want to do something or make something for his life or her life, it's their choice. People are making choices every day. You don't be so empathetic to be like, oh, we can still shelter them, we can still feed them. No. You have to make them stand up. The aspect of we are the most generous people. You can't be too kind to everyone. You can't be too generous to everyone. Do you understand? I'm not saying you should not show sense of kindness. There's an extent to showing sense of kindness. If you do it too much, it comes back and bites you like a serpent who turns back. There's a true reality of life. People are so naive. Like this gay guy, he's so naive. I can see it, and it pisses me off, the naiveness he's displaying right here. He's so naive. And it's acting soft. Because with such mindset and such character, America will never move forward. If America is allowing everyone to come in, just like that, it will never move forward. It will turn worse. This flag, they will stand it. Talking about billionaires, talking about governments that is using money to do other things instead of helping fellow. Do you know how much Americans are giving to their citizens? Do you know how much Americans have sacrificed for the citizens? It's their country. Guys, comment down below what you think about this video. Give us a thumbs up, share this video to as many as can, subscribe to our channel, guys, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Make sure you stay safe.